ByuN and Reynor faced off in a pivotal match in a Cassius Civil War. It looked like Reynor's team got a good draw, as Reynor would be considered the favorite against ByuN. But with ByuN sometimes randomly being able to awaken his 2016 World Champion spirit, who knows what magical gameplay will come out of him at any time. Let's check it out. If you do enjoy the content, please make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications so you don't miss any future videos. And as always guys, if there's a particular match you would like to see covered on this channel, make sure to drop the suggestions below, and I might cover them after all. Now, but it's actually a little bit weird. I didn't see the exact timing, but I thought I remembered this game starting with a proxy barracks, but this is a 16 proxy barracks, which is a lot later than normal. I feel like sometimes you would see 15, that is the most standard one, or 14 if you really want to go for an all-in. But a 16 proxy barracks does seem to be a very economical version. Let's see, does Reynor... Okay, I was going to say, if Reynor does not see this, that is actually a scam, like the pillar must have blocked it or something. But it does see that one barracks. He's gonna pull 5 drones, but that honestly does seem a little bit late, to be fair. Like, these barracks are gonna finish, but I'm not sure if there is any space to hide. I'm not sure if we can pop down a marine down there. That would be very good for ByuN. I'm not quite sure if that can happen, though. I do think ByuN... Ah, you can pop a unit there, okay. Hope the SSV doesn't block the marine now. This actually looks like a really good position for the proxy barracks, if you can actually put units there, right? Because the drones are coming, but there's actually not that much surface area. Now, ByuN is pretty known for proxy raxing in TVZ. I'm not sure if 16 barracks is the way he usually does it. Let's see. Ah, there you go. I actually love this. When people proxy rax and they have their positions figured out, I actually love this. And you could think, but what is the point of this? They're just locked in. Well, Reynor has 9 drones out on the map that are not currently mining. And that is a really big deal. And of course, as soon as Marine 2 and 3 finish, Reynor is going to have to run away for his life. Now, this drone actually chased that SCV all the way back home. That is kind of impressive, to be honest. I'm surprised ByuN didn't turn that around. Now, what is ByuN going to do after this? Because as we can see, Reynor is already making 10 links. If ByuN goes up here, he might honestly be in trouble. So it seems like he should probably go for a fake. Like, do some damage, run away as soon as those links finish. Looks like he's going to retreat just as the perfect time. Like I did say, he is known for his proxy raxes. So he probably at least knows the standard timings pretty well. I mean, he is a bit of a YOLO player, right? Like, I feel like he wouldn't shy away from taking some crazy risks here and there. Now, the queen is out. He's trying to put as much pressure on as possible. You know, there used to be one really cool move. I would say this was in Wings of Liberty that people used to try. And they would make a bunker here, down the ramp, so you couldn't get, like, the creep out, if that makes sense. The reason people don't do it is because you usually don't get that many Marines out early on. And, of course, if there's a bunch of speed links, they will clear up the bunker and the Marines pretty easily. But I do think that was a pretty cool move. Now, what's interesting here is that Reynor actually canceled his gas to defend this. I'm not sure if he does that against proxy 2-racks or if he thought that's just what you do against any proxy barracks. But ByuN can actually stay around pretty long because, yeah, speed is just started. Now, I don't know exactly how long speed takes, but I would guess it's maybe 80 or 100 seconds or so. So, yeah, Reynor's not going to have that for a long time. Now, at home, ByuN is going to go for the standard follow-up, Reactor Factory. Yeah, everyone's favorite. It's really good if they don't go for an early speed as well. Now, this is going to be a little bit painful. Not necessarily losing that SV, but the delay on that CC is pretty painful. Now, one thing to note that's interesting is that ByuN actually brought home both of his barracks. One thing that's very common is to fly the barracks over the main, over the natural, see how much gas there's mined, see when they're making a potential bailing nest or anything like that. Well, ByuN actually flew both of his barracks home, which is totally viable as well. Obviously, you'll have more marine production. One thing I like to do with this, I was actually thinking about being a proxy rax guide, by the way. If you guys are interested in a proxy rax guide against Zerg, if you're tired of hard games, let me know in the comments. Then I know I should definitely do it. But I wanted to say one thing you can do if you fly your barracks home. Looks like he's actually going to do it, by the way. He's going to get stim on this and put this on the reactor. So you can get a lot of Marines out early with stim and hit like a follow-up attack with 2 medevacs. And it seems like he's going to do that after a Hellion drop. Notice he hasn't showed the Hellions yet. That's a little bit unusual. I feel like usually you can just go out on the map with the Hellions, right? But I guess that he didn't know when the speed was going to finish. So he's kept them at home all safely. He's going to follow this up with the Liberator. That is very interesting. Why I say that is because a Liberator costs so much gas that... You see, he already can't really produce a tank. He's even making a 3rd gas on 2 bases. Seems like he might dedicate pretty harshly to a 2-base attack. Hellion drop gets deflected here. Links go into the main. But he did put that barracks on the reactor. And I think he already had 6 or 7 Marines from the attack itself. So that is very well done. All in all, though, I would say this has not been a great start for ByuN. I think there is 1 drone killed against 3, which, if anything, that should be the opposite, right? When you're the one doing a proxy 2 racks. He's still being very active with his Hellion drop. This is something ByuN is very good at. Kind of Clem style. My last POV analysis was on Clem. And Clem and ByuN are kind of the same in that regard, where they will keep trying through damage no matter what. Please don't lose this medevac though, that would be so painful. Oh man. And now I'm actually even more surprised, because I know that this game is going to end up being a very good game. It's going to be pretty long as well. But this start has just been a disaster. The proxy 2 racks, it did deny a little mining time, to be fair. But in the end, 0 drone skill is not where you want to be. Or well, he killed 1 drone, to be accurate. And then he lost the Hellion drop, killing 0 drones as well. He's made a Liberator that hasn't done anything. How on earth is this even going to be a competitive game? I really do not know. I cannot see... If I played this game, I would legitimately consider GGing at this point. But ByuN, I guess I guess for him, this is just another day at work. I don't know. Hey, finally we used the Liberator, guys, to clear the watchtower from a Zergling. You know? It sounds like I'm making fun of it, but this is actually not that bad of a move. If you siege 1 Lib here, you will actually deny the vision from the Zerg for a long time. And honestly, Zerg pretty much always has that watchtower. Because of how fast links are, because of creep. Terrans usually do not manage to take control of that, but 1 Lib does at least deny it for the Zerg. Now, obviously, just in case you're gonna do this, I would not make a Liberator just to do that, okay, guys? If you make a Liberator, at least try to use it a little bit for some harassment. But if you can't find any openings, then you can actually pop it down there. Now, ByuN still does not have a 3rd command center, but he does have a really cool position over here. Look at this, guys. Like, this tank positioning is awesome, and then he's gonna make a few bunkers here. Reynor is going to have to make enough banelings to deal with that, really. He's even going to drop into the main. That is a little bit crazy. Yeah, I was going to say. I think if that Spore was not there, he would have YOLO'd in right away. I'm a little bit scared, because Reynor could honestly just break that now. Some painful friendly fire on that tank. But so far, this is an incredibly cool attack by ByuN, I have to say, guys. Ooh, does get 1 hit, though, on the Marines. Yeah, Queens are amazing, but one thing Queens are not that good against is bunkers, just because their DPS is not that high. They can tank for a long time. And yeah, I mean, if you look at the worker count, it does not look so bad anymore. Obviously, Reynor is ahead in upgrades, which is a pretty bad thing to see as a Terran. 3rd CC is only halfway done, but he's definitely starting to equalize it a little bit. Up until this point, he was only on 2 barracks, by the way. Like, I feel like normally you go from 1 barracks to 3 to 5. That's the normal cycle of Terran production. But he had 2 all this time. And now he's going to go up to 4. And he's actually completely denying mining here. But of course, at the same time, Reynor already has this base. Now, I think what ByuN is benefiting from the most right now is that Reynor is making so many units instead of drones. I feel like Reynor could have probably sneaked in a few more drones here. Because this is not a push that can kill you. It's only a push that denies the base here, right? So he easily could have droned this up. Maybe even taken this base. Though it is Curious Minds, it is pretty hard to take extra bases. You are kind of confined to your, you know, little corner in the map here. No, he's going to take this base now. Very nice. Now, ByuN has seen only Link Bane, but he's still making siege tanks. And I personally think this has something to do with the map. Like, this is not the only amazing tank spot there is. You also have this, for example, where you can shell this. Like, this map is full of amazing tank spots. It's a very early attack-focused map. Because even if Terran has to... Oh my god, the creep is in his base. That is actually... That has to be one of the worst feelings, by the way. The creep is literally proccing his 3rd. And it was not an Overlord pooping creep. It was not a burrowed Zergling. It was literally the creep tumor that spread all the way from Reynor's base. I guess that's where mechanics can get you. But as I was saying, it looks like it's a really good map for Terran in that way, where you can do early pushes. But at the same time, let's say you end up here with a push, or here, and you have a 3rd base. The path to your 3rd is wide open. So Zerg can hit really strong counterattacks. And it usually just becomes a dance of who makes the right decision and the attacks at the right time. And so far, ByuN doing a really good job. And it kind of makes me wonder what this game would have looked like if his opening was not a complete disaster. Like if his 2 racks didn't fail, if his Hellion drop didn't fail. I feel like this... How many queens is this, by the way? They're like 50 queens. And now he's going to smash it. Honestly, as soon as Reynor cleaned this up, he probably regretted it not doing it later. Because he realized how much of an overwhelming force he had. How many queens is this though? 17 queens? What? Who makes 17 queens? Like, I know Zergs make a lot of queens and they're good units, don't get me wrong. I mean, they're terrible units, don't make them, guys. But 17 queens is actually an incredible queen amount. I feel like that is the amount of queens I would make if I'm Zerg, just because I don't feel like making actual battle units. Yeah, I would probably make up to 20, but I really don't remember really seeing a pro Zerg make this many queens. I think it does make sense to get to contain, because this amount of queens, it honestly cannot die, right? But at the same time, I do wonder if it was efficient for Reynor to get this many queens, because keep in mind how many drones and units you could have made instead. Like, injects are cool, but I don't think you need 18 queens to inject. He's gonna get 19 queens to inject 6 hatcheries. I do not think that's the case. Now, wait, he made 2 sensor towers next to each other. I swear Clem also did it. Like in my last POV analysis, it was the exact same thing. Clem also made 2 sensor towers here. Now, his upgrades are a little bit scuffed. He definitely messed that up. Or maybe he got owned by an overseer. I may have missed that. Because I do feel like he started them at the same time. Now, he's going to go for a second factory. He's still making tanks. Now, these days, tanks could be about 2 things, right? You could either go for a really sick push in one of those locations, or you can play Mario style and defend. Now, if you look at the supply, like I said, guys, ByuN did an amazing job, but he is 60 supply down. And still, after all of that action, after all of those good trades, the mining denial he did, he is still in such a terrible spot that I'm wondering even more. Like, how did this ever become a competitive game? And this game doesn't even look competitive right in this moment, right? If we're being honest. You guys think I'm probably trolling you guys, and this game is about to end with an A move in 2 minutes. But trust me, guys, it's not. This is actually a very highly, super close competitive game. Now, Reynor is getting 2-2. He's getting his hive up. I feel like ByuN is mostly just... well, he hasn't actually... Or his mules just expired, I guess. Yeah, I was gonna say, okay. Because he didn't have any active mules. There they are, 3 mules launching down now. I think he must have had all of those on the main command center, actually. Because his third and second didn't have any energy. Now, Reynor's gonna go in here. Let's see how he handles this fight. There's actually so many tanks here. 9 tanks sieged. And normally when you have that many tanks, they're a bit you know, spread out. Like, you have a base here, you have 3 tanks. Maybe 1 tank here, 2 tanks here, and 3 on the top. But ByuN had 9 tank siege in the same spot. So yeah, Reynor wanted to go for it. It looked like a good idea. But just a little bit too much defense there. Now, I'm kind of surprised ByuN hasn't started Ghost yet. Because it does seem a little bit early for a Ghost, 160 supply, but at the same time, this game really seems like it's gonna have to go to the late game, you know, for ByuN to win it. Like, ByuN cannot win this game with a push. The upgrades are ahead for Reynor. Reynor, the entire map is covered in creep. Probably could do a little bit of a better job on the top and the bottom, to be fair, but obviously it was a bit of a hectic game. Also getting distracted by a drop here. And here is the Ghost Academy. If you look at the production tab by ByuN, he's not making a single bio unit. He's making tanks, he's getting CCs, gases, Ghost. He's not trying to make wasteful bio units. He just wants to get up to the late game and survive. And I feel like Curious Minds is a map... Oh, I thought he was going to run into those bailings for a second. Curious Minds is a map that is really good for early attacks, but if it gets to the late game, ouch. It becomes a way different map than usual because there are so little bases. So you see ByuN has 4 bases. If this was a big map, let's say it was Hardwire, Reynor would be on 9 bases by now, and he's just in a massive amount of trouble, right? But on this map, Reynor can pretty much only take 6 bases himself. Like this base, you know, you can pretty much deny that with 1 tank and a drop. So, if Reynor doesn't manage to kill him at some point and ByuN does get to 6 bases, it's actually going to be pretty hard for Reynor to win that late game on this map. And for that reason, I'm also surprised he hasn't actually tried to make something happen. Like, ByuN really tried to fortify this, okay? 4 Liberators, more Liberators than you would usually make, blocking it with CCs, depots, 9 tank seats on the same spot. He's really trying, but I still believe, like with the lead Reynor had, if you get Vipers out a little bit earlier, you could actually do some damage here. Like, you could abduct all of these tanks. How many tanks is that, by the way? 14 tanks. He only has 17 bio units, guys. It's basically like he's playing mech at this point, to be honest. Mech into Ghosts. And yeah, fascinating. I always love it when people win it this way, because this game, it seemed completely lost. Like I said, this is a game I personally would have GG'd multiple times. And ByuN is still in it, really trying the best possible strategy. Now, he scans both a Spire and an Ultra Cavern, which is a little bit rough of a scan. He was probably hoping that late game would hit a bit later. Notice how he made this an orbital, by the way. He doesn't have a single PF until this one morphed right about here. This is a really cool PF, by the way. Basically blocking any attacks that come from this side, or at least making them a lot worse. Obviously, if you attack in, you do not want to spend 20 bailings on killing a PF in that way. If this was the PF and you would deny the eco, sure. But you definitely do not want to spend 20 bailings in blowing up this PF. Now, let's see what his army composition is going to be. He's going up to 13 Ghosts. He's making more and more tanks. And I kind of have to wonder if that is not a bit scary against Brood Lords, right, guys? Like, if you're going to go make 20 tanks and the guy has Brood Lords, you probably want something else than tanks. Now look at the bank here, guys. Just take in the bank that Reynor has. He has 5-digit mineral bank. 11,000 minerals, okay. That is, I'm not that great at math, but I think it's about 3 million Zerglings. So yeah, that is a lot. You can see Reynor's getting those upgrades. I wouldn't be surprised if he sacrifices those queens at some point. Oh, he's actually just gonna snipe them. Alright, yeah, I mean, I legitimately don't think Reynor minds. Like, he actually did want to lose those. I don't know why he's going in here. That's definitely a few too many units, I would imagine, to handle. Well, the Banelings are gonna get to the ghost. No, ByuN's. Oh, the cloak. Ouch. 5 ghosts lost, yeah. If that move seemed crazy by Reynor, and I honestly think it was, if ByuN boosted the medevacs to save the ghost, that would have been a terrible trade. But in the end, Reynor did get, I would say, 7 ghosts or so, which makes it a very good trade. And you can see ByuN is pretty much doing what I said. He's taking bases slowly, because if he does end on 6 bases at some point, he might even have the lead. If we look at the units lost right now, the difference is 3.3k. That difference is only going to grow with the efficiency of Terran units. So if you end up on the same amount of bases at this point, let's say the efficiency stays the same, that means ByuN basically has 3.3k more resources to spend. It's just a game of logic, really. Now this one, I hope he's going to make that a PF at least. He actually does not have gas. If you look at ByuN's money, it actually looks so sad compared to Reynor. 700 minerals compared to 10k. Normally, if you have 700 minerals in the bag, I imagine you're feeling pretty good about it, right? But if your opponent is 10k, it actually looks kind of pathetic. Now here we go, another big fight by Reynor. There's so many tanks here. This PF is going to do a really good job. He impede the Vipers. Still some blinding clouds coming down, though. Let's see if the Ghost can survive this time. Not the cleanest evacuation, but he does save a few of them. Keep in mind, this game was played cross-server, by the way, so there's a little bit of ping. So if you want to criticize ByuN's micro, you can. He's definitely made some mistakes, but keep in mind these players are playing on a decent amount of lag on the American server. Now, he made another orbital here. He actually he does not have a single base as a planetary. That is kind of crazy to me. You know what? You know a move that would be cool, a move they did in Brood War that would honestly be very risky here against Ghost, is that they would drop Zerglings on the tanks. If you drop 20 links on these tanks, you're probably gonna kill all of them, and that would be just a crazy trade. Wait, actually, let's look at Reynor's vision. Yeah, Reynor does not know this is an orbital. I'm sure, I can almost guarantee you that he, in his mind, is just a PF. You know, in his mind is just a planetary. He doesn't even consider the fact that it's an orbital. Because here, honestly, I would consider attacking into this. 2 Vipers and some links, you break it. And that could be game, even. So here, Reynor's gonna go again. Notice how ByuN always keeps his Ghost on the low ground, by the way. Doesn't want to get anywhere close. Now, this time there might be enough tanks to kill the Banelings in time. Let's see. Yeah, the Banelings do not actually get through to the Ghost. And this time, it was actually a very good trade for ByuN. Like, he's losing SCVs, but at this point, SCVs are, yeah, it don't matter that much. Like, you just want to end up mining this base. And what ByuN wants to avoid at this point is he doesn't want to lose so many units that he can die to one of these attacks. So as long as ByuN stays about 170 supply, if his composition is tank Ghost, super efficient, he is going to be fine. Like, even if he loses his base once, it would be okay. He just flies over another one, and that's that. And you can tell by the units Reynor is making, he really wants to try and finish the game. If Reynor wanted to play a late game here, he would be making Broodlord Infestor at this point. And personally, I think that would be by far the best choice. Like, ByuN has held a bunch of these attacks. ByuN has the most anti-ground army ever. He has pure tank Ghost, basically, with a few Marines. So if you have Broodlords here, if you more 15 Broods with Infestors, he would have had to do it earlier. Now he doesn't have that much gas anymore. But he could have actually played a nice late game, especially because he does actually have one of those bases. Like I said, normally this map is 6 against 6, but now Reynor does actually have one of ByuN's bases. Now he's going to come in here, kill the PF. Let's see, Ultras are going to die really fast. He's going to back off with those Ghosts. Yeah, this trade honestly looks really good for ByuN. He did lose a few Ghosts there, which maybe wasn't completely necessary, but yeah, the trades are just going better and better. If we look now, remember last time we checked, there was a 3.3k disparity. Now there's almost a 10k disparity in resources lost, which is insane. The efficiency by ByuN is just ramping up and up. And he is making 5 Reapers, and that is most definitely a misclick, right? Is there any reason to make Reapers here? Reapers are not even better than Marines in anything that's happening here. He could send the Reapers here. I mean, it would be a cool move. Might as well use a drop with Marines, though. Like, that's 250 gas in Reapers. That is not ideal, to say the least. Now, another 45 Banes. If you look at the bank now, by the way, before he had 10k minerals, now we Now he only has 4.6k. It is a pretty big difference though. Now there is 10 ghosts out. Reynor's gonna go again, and now he killed the PF. So this fight should be better than last time. There's another PF here that has not quite been repaired. Let's see if he throws some grenades down. I want to see some Reaper grenades. Oh, the efficiency, man. All those banelings. Oh my god, that hurts so bad. If you were cheering for Reynor there, that must have hurt so much. That was 50 Banes. That it killed a few buildings around, but literally didn't connect with any of the units. Just got blasted by tanks. And now, after I would like to say the 5th attack, Reynor is finally going to go for that late game. Crater Spire underway. Infestors coming out. Don't think he has Pathogen Glands. He doesn't. He may have forgotten that. That's the energy upgrade for the Infestors here. Now, at some point, ByuN is going to have to take this base. I say it every late game TVC, but they are my rules. If you're even in bases with a Zerg, there's a small lead for the Terran. If the Zerg is one base ahead, which could happen if, let's say, Reynor has this base, but just denies this base forever, I would think it's relatively even. But the Zerg is up 2 bases like here. Zerg definitely has the advantage. So ByuN needs to do something about this base before it's completely mined out. So he can at least mine that a little bit. I feel like that would even up the game again. Now let's see what his unit comp is now. 12 ghosts is going to go up to 16. He does have a few libs. At some point he lost those, but I'm honestly not even sure to what. Because he had 4 liberators, but there hasn't really been a lot of anti-air. I guess there have been a few corruptors. Now he's getting Neural as well. Probably to take over Ghosts. I know normally it's to take over Thors, but now in this situation, he probably wants to take over a Ghost, EMP the Ghosts. It sounds like a crazy move, like a Reddit highlight clip, but it's actually a very common move these days in the late game. It's honestly the standard. Now, ByuN sees Broodlords. So what is he gonna do about it? Because Ghost, honestly, Ghosts are a pretty decent counter to Broodlords, but you usually need a bit more than Ghost. Because if Broodlords attack the Ghost directly, the snipes won't go off. Especially if there's some kind of fungal. He's just gonna go her early. Well, there's not enough Ghost here, my man. You should probably run away from that. I mean, to be fair, it is only 6 Broodlords. Oh, you got an EMP on the Infestors. That's big. Like, the point of Broodlords is that you really have enough to overwhelm. That is the point. You see, right now, he doesn't have enough, and the Broodlings will just cancel the snipes, and the trades are horrible for Terran. From both sides, it's honestly a numbers game. And here's a nice Ling run by. This actually should kill 4 Siege Tanks. This is the kind of stuff I was talking about. The kind of stuff that he could have done on this base earlier. Yeah, he just kills 4 tanks with a simple Ling run by. And that's just minerals, guys. Look at ByuN's gas bank. There is nothing there, okay? Now, he is still mining gas from probably 6 refineries. So that is not that bad. But yeah, trading links for tanks is always a fantastic trade. Obviously, maybe not if you trade 200 links for a few tanks. But you guys know what I mean. Now, he's gonna make some Thors. He's also making more and more Ghosts. Like, he's really going to a Clem Ghost count where he just makes infinite. Now, ByuN feels very aggressive here. I think ByuN is feeling pretty confident in his Spellcaster micro. The one thing against Broodlords, like I said, you do not want there to be too many Broodlords. If there's 25 Broodlords, you're gonna have a really hard time killing that with Ghosts. But now there's only a few. You see ByuN went forward. There was only 1 fungal on those Infestors, and the Broodlords actually get cleaned up. And in this case, because he didn't have enough Broodlords, it ended up being a waste of money. Now, Reynor is getting a fantastic counterattack in at the top while this is happening. I think he denied this base once again. 23 SCVs going down. This base is completely dead. Means ByuN's eco is going to be in absolute shambles. At the same time, ByuN is getting this base back in the bottom left. And but the worst part here for Reynor is that the ghost count is completely untouched. So if you look at Reynor's bank, it's alright, but he's 140 supply. He's going to have to spend all of that bank to be maxed. And ByuN still has a fantastic army composition here. He only has 25 bio units, excluding the ghost. And then he has 21 ghost and tank lib. So ByuN's army is super efficient. This orbital is still alive, and he has another base to saturate this. Now Reynor is gonna go for the Broodlord approach once again, and I'm gonna repeat myself one more time. I do like it, but he just needs to make more. You need to have so many Broodlords that the ghosts just suck, basically. And at the same time, you also need a lot of Banelings. Like, I feel like he needs to stay back a little bit. Like, he needs to stay around this area until his army gets good enough. So he gets some more Infestors. Well, he actually has a decent amount of Infestors, 6. So he gets more Banelings. That the Ghost can't snipe the Brutes for free. And then he's going to have a really good push. If he goes forward again too early like he did before, I think he might be in a little bit of trouble here. Like, ByuN's Ghost control so far has been impeccable. Now, ByuN's eco, if you look at the income here, guys, is looking absolutely tragic. Oh, there we go. He actually knurled the Ghost, but it didn't seem like he got an EMP off there. Maybe he misclick the hotkey or whatever. That sound, you can hear it from all over the map. It's always the scariest sound. Like, I legit get a bit of an anxiety rush when I hear one of my units being taken over. Now, how many brutes are we on? 16 brute lords. It's reasonable, but he has nothing else. He has 5 infestors, 16 brutes, and then a handful of links and an ultra. I think he really needs some banelings in there. If he's careful, it's good enough, but I'm just really scared, because if you fight in the open, yeah, he might be in a bit of trouble. He needs to get some really good fungus. Something Zergs don't do, and I understand it because they hotkey their units, right? Is to split out the infestors a bit more. Like, I don't mean that they have one here and one here, because they already do that. But usually when they fight, they kind of A-move in the center, and their units clump, and the infestors get hit by one big EMP. It'd be really nice to just come in a little bit of a concave so he can't EMP all the infestors. Basically like you would do with a bio army against any splash. Like, you make a big concave and then you go. There's kind of a funny dance over here. Reynor taking this base under the orbital. This, honestly, to me, I know it's probably not the case because these players are so good. If they fight, it would probably be the game-deciding fight. Unless it's so close that, you know, it's not. But, yeah. Beyond 156 army supply. That is incredible. 156 army supply of Ghost. Well, he doesn't actually have a lot of tanks anymore, right? He gave away all of his tanks. There's 28 ghosts there. Ooh, Reynor going in. He needs to be so careful here. He can only fight this if he does get the fungals off. Let's see. And you can see ByuN is looking for the EMPs. You can see it. EMPs going down. There's one more infestor with fungals. Does get one really good fungal off. There is still so many ghosts alive though, and there's no energy left. Ghosts are cloaking, and it looks like ByuN has a little bit too much. I swear, man, if there were 20 banelings there, I think this fight would have been really good for Reynor, but yeah, the ground coverage was just missing, and ByuN honestly smashes this fight. Look at the efficiency now. It is over 20k in ByuN's lead. And not just that, ByuN actually wins this position for the base. Now, Reynor did make a very good move by taking this base at the same time. But is he going to be able to mine from it for that long? I do not know. Now, Reynor himself is remaxing on Ultralisks, which I'm not sure if I like that, guys. I think, honestly, it sounds weird, but probably some kind of Ling Bane comp, and waiting a little bit to see what ByuN makes to then spend all of your bank would have been a little bit better, because ByuN's army is just Ghost. Like, Ghost is the hardest counter in the game through Ultralisk, probably. Like, maybe Immortal some more, I don't know. It's probably Ghost, to be honest. So the way Reynor would win this, if he gets like a magic fungal, gets a big surround going, and yeah, that's what, and he needs it to happen, because if it doesn't happen, the Ultralisks are going to get sniped, and that'll be very painful. Reynor did actually forget Pathogen Glance this entire game. His infestors are spawning with too little energy. Now, usually you don't fight very fast, so it's fine. Could cost him later on, though. Now, ByuN scans that he had this base. Let's see what it's going to do about it. I was going to say there's no anti-air, so he can easily siege a lib, but there's actually just literally one corruptor there to clean the lib if he would need to. Now, I'm actually curious because in the end, Reynor is going to have mined more of the map, but I wonder where it falls in my rule of, you know, one base ahead is even, 2 base ahead is good for Zerg, blah, blah, blah. I wonder where it falls in the rule where they kind of mine the half of both bases. I feel like it is probably pretty even. It should be like 5.5 against 6.5 bases, which is very even. But yeah, ByuN might have been too efficient, especially in that last fight. And I think Reynor, looking back, you probably figured the same. If he had like some banelings to roll in there, because guys, like I said, there were no tanks there. That was pure Bio Ghost Thor. There is pretty much nothing you can do against banelings with that comp. You just have to run away and split. And then at the same time, the Broodlords will be firing. And it would have been a good fight. Now, ByuN's army is slightly getting worse in a way. Like, he's going to get more and more army supply. Because, yeah, he simply doesn't need that many SCVs, right? Like, this is the only base he's mining from. He needs 18 SCVs to mine this. And that's literally it, basically. So he could go up to 182 army supply. But what that means is that it's going to be more and more Marine Marauder. And one thing that is really scary when using Marine Marauder, and this sounds weird, but sometimes more is not necessarily better when it comes to Marine Marauder. And the reason is that against Splash, the more units you have, the harder it is to split. So I also feel like the more Marine Marauder you have against Infestor, Baneling, Ultras, it also makes you less efficient. Of course, there's a bigger chance that you overpower the fight, but sometimes I feel like it would be better to fight with 70% of the group first, and then the other 30%, right? So I feel like if he fights in one big ball with 182 supply that, you know, exists mostly out of Marine Marauder, it could be very dangerous against a big AoE ball of, let's say, ultra baiting infestor, right? Now, actually, one thing that surprised me a little bit is that ByuN hasn't killed this base. Like, I know there's only a little bit of gas left. I mean, it's 400 gas. That would be very good to deny. He basically has the position already. He might as well go for that denial. Now, this base on the top seems a bit more important. There's 2,300 gas, guys. 2,300 gas in those geysers. That could actually be pretty huge. Like, that is, yeah, that's pretty much 20 siege tanks, right? Or whatever, whatever you want to see. 15 libs. It's a lot of stuff, anyway. And the same goes for Reynor, of course. There's probably 15 infestors he could be making from that. Now, Reynor does not have minerals left, looking at it. So, yeah, it might even be inefficient to take the gases at this point. Like, even though it's only 50 gas, if you do the over 50 minerals, if you do the calculation, he might not have enough minerals to make infestors from it anyway, so it might be better to not make the extractors. Unless you somehow get to mine that base again. Now he's making infestor. That's the perfect move, because if you look at the money he has, yeah, you just have to spend the money in the right ratio. And the unit that costs very little minerals and a lot of gas is the infestor. So that works out perfectly. Now he is going to deny that last gas on that base. ByuN, on the other hand, could totally use the gas, by the way. I mean, he still has 2k gas here. But he also still has close to, or maybe this is actually 2k minerals, roughly 2k minerals on the patches. And he already has a very mineral skewed ratio. So ByuN would actually benefit from getting those gases, because a lot of Terran units, they cost equal amounts of minerals to gas. So if he has those gases and he has a good ratio, you can make a lot of libs, siege tanks, ghost. Like, they have a very even ratio, which sometimes is a curse. But with the mineral bank he has right now, it kind of seems like a blessing. But only in case he grabs those gases, right? Now, if I'm not mistaken, Reynor is completely out of money. Reynor does not have anything to mine yet. ByuN has 2k minerals. He's probably going to go up to 3k minerals and, yeah, 2k gas, roughly. And he's already maxed. Now, like I did say, he does have... How much supply is that? 32, 68 supply in Marine Marauder, which is a little bit much. It means his army quality is not the highest, but I think the ghosts here are just too scary. There are 21 ghosts out. This is about 10 ultras, right? 11 ultras, 10 infestors. Yeah, Reynor needs the magical engagement, and for the same reason, ByuN is probably not gonna want to move out. I don't know if ByuN actually realizes that there's so much gas here. That is one thing that would be very interesting, because if you see this, like, let's be honest, if you see this base, the mineral line is gone, it's very easy to assume that the gases are just out of gas as well, right? So we'll see. Now, ByuN, like, the thing is, ByuN has a very slow army, Reynor has a very fast army, so even if ByuN wants to fight, he is probably gonna have to go on creep and into a position like this where he can get Omega surrounded, and then is the question whether he wants to do that, because honestly, from my POV, this is a game, like, ByuN is favored here, but this is a game that you could consider drawing, because I would not want to risk going out here and taking a fight, because ultras come from here, 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 some fungals, and your army will probably disappear. Now, ByuN, like I said, he is gonna go up to an absolutely absurd army supply. Currently at 171. So maybe what ByuN wants to do is just get to that, you know, maybe even 200 army supply once this mine's out, and then go across the map. Now, it is a pretty delicate unit comp. Obviously, the ghosts are always good here, but at the same time, you can see a really good decision. He's making so many tanks because Brutal and Infestor, he needs so much money for it, and he noticed that Reynor, yeah, pretty much just has ultras. So he's making so many tanks because they will just do a lot better against this ground-based composition. As you noticed before, tanks do not do very well against Broodlords, so when there were Broodlords out, he only had 4 tanks and they weren't even in the fight. Right now, he's pretty much spamming tanks like crazy. One thing, by the way, I have to wonder if it might have just been better for Reynor to make Vipers with his last money. Like, I know it's risky to fly around, but if you ever see there's no ghost, you can just abduct 2 tanks. And they basically have infinite value like that. I wonder if it would have been a really good play for Reynor to go for those Vipers instead. Because he does, well, he lost 1 Infestor before, but he did have 10 Infestors already. Honestly, if you have 6 or 8, it's probably pretty similar. You would need to be very lucky, and it would have to be a very rare situation for exactly the 9th or 10th Infestor to get that fungal off, you know? Yeah, Reynor's pretty much doing what I said. He just wants to run around. ByuN is sitting back here. And now we're back at a pretty passive game. Resources loss difference, 21k overall. And like I said, Reynor is probably about one base ahead. Now, I don't know how much money there is in one base in total, but I would say it definitely favors ByuN in terms of the resources. I mean, you can see it here. It's max against 185, and ByuN has about 2k resources more. Even more if he would mine those gases. Now, actually the mineral and gas count is going to be pretty even after this. There's 700 gas left here, and 200 minerals left here. So it might also not be worth it for ByuN to take these gases. And it feels like such a weird thing to say. I've said it about Reynor, and now I'm saying it about ByuN, because gas is considered the more expensive, the more rare, the more valuable resource. But here, we're in a situation where both players don't even really want to take the gases because they don't have the minerals to spend it. Now, I wonder what Reynor is doing with his APM right now. Let's have a look. Checking. He has his bro and infestor snarking around. Like, this is such a dangerous game because normally losing one infestor is fine. But in this situation where there are so little infestors, you do not want to get it sniped. That's also why ByuN is making so many turrets, by the way. If you were wondering, he does not want to be caught off guard by an infestor. Especially not behind the army, so he has one turret here, one turret there, one turret on the top as well. Now it looks like ByuN might actually be moving out. Let's see what ByuN is looking at here. He has used a lot of scan. I don't know how many orbitals he has, but he has been very consistently scanning. I would already be afraid to be here, to be honest, without a scan. I think ByuN moving out, like, it's off creep, I get it, but I would already be pretty scared. Like, one of these ghosts get knurled, and you lose a bunch of ghost energy to a... Oh, here we go. Is he gonna do it? There we go. That's the move. Wait. Oh, ByuN does have the EMP upgrade. Okay. Oh, that EMP was fat. That's 6 infestors without energy. Wow. I actually talked about this on stream a little bit, and I think I maybe have mentioned it in the video as well. I legitimately feel like sometimes you don't even want to get the EMP upgrade because it's more common for enemy infestors to knurl your ghost and EMP you for you to EMP the enemy spellcasters. But in this game, we have actually seen some crazy good EMPs by ByuN. So this game, it was definitely right to get that upgrade. And in general, if you're playing very well, you should probably get the upgrade anyway, right? Now look at this army by ByuN, guys. 184 Terran army supply right there. 21 ghosts, 13 tanks, 60 marauders, 43 marines. Now if you're wondering why he has marines, is that marauders have very bad DPS against smaller units technically. Like marauders against Lynx and Banes don't do great. They do well against Banes because they tank them, but they don't kill them very fast. And it's kind of similar to against Protoss where you want marines. Even though they're so bad against Colossus and Storm and stuff, you just need them to do DPS against the small units like the Zealots, the Zerglings, the Banelings. Though in this case he probably has enough tanks to take care of any ground units. And to be honest, looking at this army comp, the supply is similar, but ByuN definitely has him beat in the army. There is 60 army supply more, 13 tanks and 25 ghosts for 11 ultras. Like for me, I cannot see any way for Reynor to win this fight. Though I am very curious to see what the big fight is gonna look like. Okay, what is he gonna do? Okay, I thought he was gonna knurl a marauder or something. Like, why, what? Yeah, this is what I mean. You move forward with an ultra, that's an ultra gun that you can never replace. And Reynor literally does not have the money to make anything. He can make an extractor, I guess. If for complete accuracy, he can make an extractor. He cannot make a Zergling, he cannot make an infestor, he cannot make anything. And ByuN's army just looks incredible. Now, if you're wondering why he's taking it so slow, it's just like I said. If you rush it, you're too clumped, you get fungled, you have, 100 supply and bio units, you can actually lose a fight. And there's no reason for him to rush, really. He can even eliminate Reynor. If Reynor runs away, he can eliminate him. And he can fly his own buildings. We're not in a scenario where Reynor can make a ton of corruptors to actually gun those buildings down. He has 5 corruptors. And somehow, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but I don't think 5 corruptors beat, 13 tanks, 13 marauders, 26 ghosts, and 44 marines in the base trade. Maybe I'm wrong, though. We'll see. I want to see what the unit's loss is going to be like in the last battle. Keep in mind that the gap is about 22k. And after this battle, I think it's probably going to be even more because, yeah, ByuN's army just looks monstrous. Now, we're actually getting to a point where he's going forward. How many orbitals do we actually have in this game? 7 orbitals. Okay. He's making a Raven. That's a really good move, yeah. Like, his army is so big, he definitely does not need another siege tank or whatever. Actually, he wasn't able to afford one anyway, but you don't need another Marauder or one more Ghost. But a Raven actually helps because then, even though you have so many scans, trust me, guys, it has happened to me that I have 10 plus orbitals and I run out of scans and I die to cloaked units. It's a very sad way to die, but it happened against both DTs. Yeah, burrowed infestors. It's terrible. So the Raven makes a lot of sense. Just lowers the chance of that happening by so much. You're actually going to make a second Raven. I would love it if he used it as a backup and just rallied it here or something. And then pulled it as, you know, when his other Raven died. I also wouldn't have minded a turret here. Like, yeah, I feel like he probably could have made a few less Marine Marauder and got a turret here. Because at this point, you're so close to the Zerg's main. And yeah, Reynor is going to have to make a stand here. Yeah, I don't know how on earth you would attack into this, guys. I'm going to be honest. 193 Terran supply. Siege stop. Off creep. Upper ramp. Like, I can only imagine this ending in an absolute disaster. But we'll see what Reynor figures out. He does have an Infestor here. But the thing here is, there are so many units. This Infestor unburrows and is probably going to get popped instantly. So the only thing it can do is Neural, Ghost, and EMP. But look at the spread of the Ghost. I'll highlight them. You can see they're just everywhere. Yeah, there is just a good one shot. Oh, Reynor's going to go in here. Okay, well, let's see. Decides to back off. Probably a wise decision. Let's see. Oh, he's a little bit far forward with the Ghost. Gets a good EMP off. Sadly, you need a lot more than that. Look how many units there are up this ramp. That is actually incredible. Reynor goes up. There's too many units. ByuN is not even really moving at this point. And ByuN takes a 41-minute game against Reynor. Ends up in 25k resources lost advantage. So just in that fight, he climbed another 4k, I believe. And oh man, that was another incredible Terran game. If you guys remember how this started with a freaking Proxy barracks that failed into a Hellion drop that failed, by the way. And now it ends up in this beautiful game by ByuN. Couldn't have asked for anything more. And yeah, that's going to do it for today's video. Hope you guys had a really good time. Make sure to like the video and subscribe. And leave suggestions in the comments. And I'll see you guys next time. Adios.